We've made it all the way to day 17, boys and girls, and you know what that means? It's time to learn about not Santa. Ligeia?
Yes, let me give you a nice Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
So, yes, we include the Japanese.
Of course, everybody's included here.
Right. So, we have different types of not Santa today. This is going to be a bit longer than the previous ones. So we do have very long Advent videos, but we also have shorts. If you want to look into this, day 14 has biblical animals of the nativity scene. So these are the ones that won't take too much of your time, and you can look into it, see if it's for you. Today we're talking about versions of Saint Nicholas. That is the first part of this topic. And then other Christian figures. For example, there is one in Austria that is not Saint Nicholas, but is also a Christian figure. And then we have heathen figures. So we're going to Scandinavia again. We're going to Old England with this one. And we're going to Russia. And we'll talk a bit more about Yule. That's how we swing today.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so Saint Nicholas the Bishop. That is not the one that is the source of Santa Claus in the United States. And we will have a video the day after tomorrow about the United States version of Santa. But today we'll talk a little bit more about the bishop and how he continued to be a bishop in European tradition. He's usually dressed as a bishop with a mitre, so a mitre is the bishop's hat. He often has a red cape, but sometimes he has a white, yellow, or golden bishop's garb. He has a stole, which is a type of scarf, and he has a bishop's staff that is called a crozier. He has a long white beard and long white hair, and he's packed full of Christian symbolism, and he has a big book. So all of these Saint Nicholas versions, these later versions of the saint in Europe, have a big book with them because they need to know who's naughty and who's nice. Let's get into the first one, that is Nikolaus. That is the German version. He doesn't travel on horseback or on donkey back, so he comes on foot with his servant. And we will talk about the servant later on when we are having our Christmas horror videos, because at least one servant is known in the English-speaking world too. And the servant has a specific function. He doesn't just carry the presents, he also carries an empty sack, and we'll talk about what that means. In reality, so of course St. Nicholas is not really appearing at that time, but you have neighborhoods in villages or in parts of the city where people organize a Nikolaus service. And that means that two men have to dress up, one as St. Nicholas and the other one as his servant, and they have to visit homes with children on December the 6th, on St. Nicholas Day. Because there is a different figure bringing presents on Christmas Eve. So they get presents twice, but the Nikolaus presents are usually a bit smaller than the ones they get on Christmas Eve. St. Nicholas himself appears and reads from his big book. And this book doesn't really contain anything, so they're not writing in the book, but he has letters from the parents in the book. So he has notes from them telling him what the child has done throughout the year, and he rewards good children.
Right.
By the way, when we're moving on, the name Claus or Klaus in German, that is short for Nikolaus.
Oh.
So that is short for Nicholas. Yeah. It's not a separate name. So it's not a name that can stand on its own. It's a short form, like Bob, for example, in English. But nowadays you have people who are legitimately called Bob or Klaus, because people have forgotten that those were only short forms and not separate names.
Gotcha.
Then we have a version in German-speaking Switzerland that is called Samichlaus. and it combines these New Year celebrations, similar to what happened in communist places where they did not celebrate Christmas. They celebrated New Year, and we will have some more Swiss figures, but there is Samichlaus, and he combines that with Protestant beliefs, and that guy has a donkey. So you can see it's like a bishop's costume, like red and yellow or red and gold, and like the white undergarment.
Yeah.
So that's what they usually look like. Also, one of these is Sinterklaas in the Netherlands, and we've seen that he rides on a white horse. The horse was called Amerigo until 2019 because that was the same horse, and since then it's called Ososnel. And that is not really a name. It means oh so fast, Ososnel. Yes, that is the new one, and when that one retires, then they will get one with a different name. So with Sinterklaas in the Netherlands, it doesn't always have the same name. The horse doesn't always have the same name. And the horse also has different names in Belgium, for example. So there are other countries that speak Dutch. It's similar to the situation with Germany proper and German-speaking Switzerland. The festivities are different. And with the Dutch Sinterklaas, he has a Belgian version in the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. So Belgium has two official languages, that's Dutch and French. And the horse has a different name in Belgium. Okay, he arrives pretty early in the Netherlands, and he arrives by ship. This is something that connects him to Saint Nicholas, because we've seen that he does a lot with sailors and with ships. And he arrives on the first Saturday after the 11th of November. So he shows up really early.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in a steamboat nowadays, so it's not a sailing ship. And he comes from the Spanish city of Alicante.
Oh, Alicante.
And he
That's
has a
cool.
helper that is called Zwarte Piet, and Zwarte Piet means Black Peter. He leaves the ship and then he rides through the city on his horse, and children follow him and sing Christmas songs.
Cute.
And again, there is a difference between Netherlands and Belgium. So in the Netherlands, they let him land in different ports. And in Belgium, it's always the same port where he arrives. So in the Netherlands, they have a lot of coast. And it's a small country, so they will tell you in advance where Sinterklaas is going to arrive with his steamboat, so you can go there and your kids can walk after the horse and like sing Christmas carols. Okay,
That's so cute.
this whole thing has a national live stream broadcast in the Netherlands and Belgium, so they're following the kids who are following Sinterklaas.
That's adorable.
Yes, you can watch this on TV, like, oh, look, the kids. The kids are keeping track of him so he doesn't vanish with all the presents. Right, and he does have a connection with Spain. Question is it because Bari was under Spanish control when the tradition started? So maybe you remember that when we talked about St. Nicholas, we talked about the Italians who went to Myra and stole his bones.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Right, so his bigger bones are in the Italian city of Bari in southern Italy, while the smaller bones are in Venice. So St. Nicholas doesn't have his bones together, and the city of Bari in southern Italy was under Spanish rule at that time when this tradition began, so that could be the connection with Spain.
Could be. That's interesting.
But also, you have Belgium as the Spanish Netherlands. So there's a lot of stuff going on politically in Europe over centuries, and Belgium was once called the Spanish Netherlands. So the Netherlands had a direct border with Spain, technically.
Wow.
There was still France in between actual Spain and the Spanish Netherlands, but
Yeah.
Spanish Netherlands. And that is something that happens when Zwarte Piet or Black Peter is around. So when you get punished, they take you to Spain as a punishment.
Oh no. What a punishment.
Like all the English teenagers in cold regions of England are lining up to do naughty stuff so they can be taken to Spain as a punishment.
Oh my god, is that how Benidorm was formed? Oh no.
Yes. But
It weirdly
Dutch
tracks.
the Dutch are actually trying to avoid this, so they don't want to be taken to Spain as a punishment. Another idea that could be a connection is that it's because of mandarin oranges. Those are small oranges or small relatives of actual oranges, and they're eaten around Christmas time in Western Europe, in Central Europe. So this is a common Christmas sweet. And they actually came from Spain at that time. Between his arrival and December the 5th, he visits schools, hospitals, and malls. So they do have a mall Santa. And the tradition in the United States probably is connected to that appearance in malls. He rides through the air at night and he drops presents into chimneys. And then the presents are picked up by parents and they hide them. So, this is how they explain that he doesn't have to do this in just one night, but he does it before Christmas. And this is why parents are in charge of the presents. It's not that they buy them, like, not at all, but the saint drops the presents through the chimneys for the parents to hide for the children until it's really Christmas.
Wow, that's a clever way to explain it all.
Right, and in other cases, they sometimes say that they have been visited by his servant, by Peter, and that he gives them presents. So they have a whole system of gift distribution that doesn't require Santa Claus to appear on Christmas Eve or on St. Nicholas Day. But he can probably relax on St. Nicholas Day because he's done all the work before that. He has a whole month to do it.
Mm.
Children are trying to feed the horse in the Netherlands. So they put a shoe out filled with hay, sugar cubes, and a carrot, and sometimes even a water bowl. They either do that next to a fireplace or a heating or door, and sometimes in front of the door. So that is for Santa's horse. He's not getting cookies and milk, his horse is getting sugar cubes and carrots.
That's very considerate.
Yes. And Santa Claus is, or Sinterklaas in this case, is giving back. They usually find small gifts, and those are usually sweets, in the shoes in the morning. So I would recommend that you don't use smelly shoes that have been worn for a while. So don't use your track shoes or sneakers. Use shoes that are reasonably clean and don't smell too much.
Yeah, just maybe have a pair of ritualistic shoes that you don't wear.
Ritualistic shoes. That is brilliant.
Yeah. The shoes that are only used for, this purpose.
That's a really good idea. It's like with the Christmas socks on the fireplace. Those
Yeah.
are usually not socks you wear.
No. Definitely not. They might have been one point, but no.
Okay. So celebration of St. Nicholas Day or of the eve of St. Nicholas Day is usually December the 5th, which means one day before the actual Saint's Day. But in some cases, they only open the presents the next day on St. Nicholas Day proper. And part of those presents is that they get poems, and those poems usually tease the children in a friendly way. And they are designed to let the children know that Sinterklaas actually knows them. So he doesn't have to bring his big book, but it is implied that he has a big book and that he knows everything about what the children are doing. And of course, those are the parents writing small poems for the children, individual poems, and telling the children, we know what you're doing when we're not looking.
Ooh.
So, if you're planning to marry someone from the Netherlands, you need some poetic skills.
Go on.
Just
I'm
for
not.
the Sinterklaas poems. No, I know you're not.
Dating advice for somebody else out there.
Right. Okay. Great. These are the bishops. There is one other Christian figure that also steps in for Saint Nicholas, and that is Saint Thomas the Apostle, who takes that job in Austria. And that is basically all I can tell you about that one, because the celebration is basically the one that is also held for Saint Nicholas. So these figures are very similar, and he's not as important as Saint Nicholas. But that is a thing that you see throughout the German-speaking areas, that they have Saint Nicholas on December the 5th or 6th, and then they have they have baby Jesus on Christmas Eve. So baby Jesus is the big event, and Saint Nicholas is really just starting the season, starting the Christmas season, and gives small presents. So there is no surprise that Saint Thomas in Austria doesn't have the same impact as baby Jesus in Austria, because baby Jesus is the main event.
Right.
Okay, continuing with heathen figures. And I told you we will go back to Old England.
Mhm.
So we have Father Christmas, Father Kurisumasu. And no, I didn't have a stroke. That was Japanese.
Yeah, it was. Fasaru Karisumasu.
Yes, I love saying that. And we have some more Japanese stuff. Let me show you here. Really, really cool. Yay!
Yeah. With the
With the
chicken
Japanese.
bucket. It's got the chicken bucket.
Christmas is a celebration of KFC, of Colonel Sanders. We've been through this.
I know, it's just so funny to still see it though.
All right. So, but let's go back to England. We know that Father Christmas in England is based on the Holly King. We've talked about the Holly King at the beginning of the first week when we were talking about Christmas traditions. That was in the video of day 2. What is Christmas? And this Holly King is connected to other European traditions. As I said, we'll look into this when we arrive at that point. It's connected to Slavic, Celtic, and North Germanic traditions, and to carol singing. And Father Christmas was mostly a Catholic figure after the Middle Ages. So the tradition of the Catholic Father Christmas started around the year 1100. This was shortly after the Norman invasion. And he wasn't connected to children, which means that the celebrations too were for adults. And that is all I can say here, or we're getting banned.
Oh my.
Yeah, he's a fertility god too, you know, and the Holly King. He keeps the plants alive during winter. So
He's the god of the red light district.
yes.
Anyway, yeah.
So naturally, being opposed to everything that comes with fun and adult themes, Protestants tried to abolish him.
Naturally.
But like with St. Nicholas, they failed. So in difficult periods where St. Nicholas and Father Christmas were not allowed to be shown in England, you had carol mummers keeping the tradition alive. So you still had these carol singers, and they would carry this through time until it was possible again to celebrate with Saint Nicholas or Father Christmas. Let me see. I have pictures. So he does have a staff. It's not a bishop's staff because remember, this used to be a heathen god originally. He has a wassailing bowl, and the wassailing bowl is filled with holy cider or mulled cider. He carries a Christmas log, and he has a holly wreath on his head because he's the Holly King. And in the 19th century, Protestants finally gave up. So they said, okay, we've tried to ban him, but it's not working, so let's just try to change him a little bit. And they turned him into a gift giver for children, specifically starting in Victorian times. The whole adult stuff was cut out, and they said, okay, if he's only a figure celebrated in that context with gift giving to children, we're kind of okay with it. We still don't like it, but we're okay with that. And nowadays you have Father Christmas looking a lot like the American Santa, because in the 1850s, Santa Claus came over from the United States and merged with Father Christmas. So since the year 1880, Father Christmas has been fully Americanized in the UK.
Yeah, I gotta admit, they're very much the same now. It's quite true.
Right. So you see in these pictures, there are versions where he has this brown coat, for example. That is the old-fashioned one. And when you see him with a wreath of holly, for example, that is the old-fashioned Father Christmas. And then he turns into the red American Father Christmas or Santa Claus. Let's make him switch colors.
Okay.
I told you that there is another Christmas figure that has a horse or horses.
Yes.
And that is Ded Moroz. Ded means father or grandfather. So Dedushka is the Russian word for grandfather. You know babushka. Babushka means granny, and Dedushka means grandfather. And Moroz means frost. So you could translate that as Father Frost. And he usually has a troika, so...
He's just a troika.
Right, the troika has 3 horses. So this is something that you can still see in Russia. It's not as common anymore, but it's a sleigh pulled by 3 horses. And they usually have these wooden ornaments with little bells. So you can hear that sleigh before you can see it, because you can hear the tiny bells.
Nice.
Yay. He has a very similar problem to Father Christmas. In his case, it was not Protestants trying to abolish a Catholic figure, but in his case, communists were trying to abolish a Christian figure. So he had also merged with the beliefs of Saint Nicholas, but not as much as in Father Christmas's case. This is essentially still a Slavic heathen character that is a little bit Christianized, and the communists didn't like either sort, so they were trying to abolish Ded Moroz. And it didn't really work in their case either. So it's really funny that you have these attacks on heathen and Christian characters around Christmas time, and people trying to abolish them for various reasons, but they're not getting very far. So these characters are so popular that people are holding on to them. Even when everything else breaks down, you can still believe in Santa.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of nice in a way. I mean, I can understand for the most part, because it's mainly like a positive spin, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, a fairly benevolent thing, so I understand.
There you have a very Slavic version with the antlers in the first picture.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So that looks more like the heathen Father Frost. but usually he's depicted in red or white clothes. So, in red, white, or blue clothes. He often has white fur trimming, and you see here that he also comes with horns in some cases. But you switch between the colors blue and red with white trimming. You have one that is pretty much red here on his throne in front of a Christmas tree. That is more like a mall Santa. He usually wears a heel-long blue or red gown trimmed with fur and snowflake decor. As you can see, it's not just pure blue or red. It has some ornaments on it. Then he has a magic staff. So this is not a bishop's staff. It's for doing magic. He has a sack, he has gloves, he has valinki. Valinki are Russian felt boots. So that is the best that can happen to you if you're stuck in Russian winter. Russian felt boots, valinki. And he usually wears a very warm round hat that doesn't look like a bishop's hat. So he doesn't have that tall mitre, he has a flat hat. And maybe you've seen that there is someone with him in the sleigh.
Usually somebody quite small.
Yes, that is his right, that is his granddaughter. And we will talk about his granddaughter when we are talking about Santa's helpers tomorrow.
Right.
So that's upcoming. And he delivers his presents personally, so he doesn't have any other helpers, and his granddaughter is not there for delivering presents. So she's not like Peter in the Netherlands, who also carries around presents, because she's a young girl, so he doesn't make her carry that heavy sack. He does that on his own. And he usually drops these presents under the Christmas tree on New Year's Eve. So this is a tradition that merges Christmas with New Year's celebrations, and you don't get the presents on December the 24th or 25th, and you're not getting them on Epiphany, so when the Three Kings arrive, but very often he drops them under the Christmas tree on December the 31st, which is the new year, actually. There is a new... Well, wait, sorry. Cut that.
New Year's Eve.
There is a new year and there is an old new year. Sorry.
All right.
But that's due to switches in the calendar. So December 31st is the new year. Okay. We will look into the addresses tomorrow, Santa's addresses. But I can tell you that Ded Moroz has a big house. That is his house. He has an actual address.
Well, that's a big house.
Huh. Right. This is a house in Veliki Ustyug, and that is a place near Vologda, and Vologda is northeast of Moscow. So, Ded Moroz is a very, very old winter spirit. That is how he got started. So he's one of these heathen gods that were Christianized and then were turned into modern-day Santa. And he's still not fully like the United States Santa, so they have individual traits with his granddaughter, for example, and he's a strict person. So in other cases, when we're going to talk about the helpers of Santa, very often Santa is the good one, and the helpers are the ones dealing out punishments. In Ded Moroz's case, that is not so. He's the strict one, and his granddaughter is the one who connects more with children, because she herself is a young girl, so children are confident enough to embrace her and to approach her. They have live appearances throughout Christmas time, for example. So when you meet these two little children, would rather go to his granddaughter because she's the nice one.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me a little bit about this before, one of the earlier days.
Yes, and we'll see her tomorrow, so I will not show her now. I'll continue with the Finns. So what do you remember about the Finns from our last videos?
besides the really funny thing about reindeer peeing as a unit of measurement.
Yes. What did I say about the Finns?
That they're like super super cool, but also batshit crazy.
Yes. Yes. So this is Finnish Santa. And of course he has horns and he has a twig and he
It's, it's so funny because it's like all right, everybody have your own depiction of Santa Claus, and the Finns were just like last minute like just whipping together a little doodle.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yes, this is the more modern version. There are actually two versions. So the
Oh,
first one is called Nuutipuki, and I can translate that. So we have a saint called Saint Knut, and in this case, you can't get away with not pronouncing the K as you usually do in English with ni or night. In this case, you have to pronounce the K. It's Knut.
yes, yes, you do. Behave
But the
yourselves.
Finns are still not pronouncing it. So the Finns don't say Saint Knut, they say Newt.
I love the Finns.
Pure chaos, but great people. Um, and this Puki that comes from the Yule goat. You remember that the Yule goat is the Yule buck. So that is Puki is buck.
Right.
That is Saint Knut's buck in that case. And Nuutipuki is the Finnish version of the humanoid Yule goat. You remember these guys with the goat heads that I've shown you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he does the same as the old-fashioned Yule goat with the carol singers. He roams through villages with his followers. He's pranking and blackmailing people. So I mean blackmailing. They're actually trying to extricate something from you. And what they want is food. So they're not coming for your valuables. They're just coming for Christmas food.
Okay.
And they're singing and they're connected to this tradition of scaring off the demons of winter, and they're connected to carnival celebrations. So again, this reaches a bit further into the year, into driving out the winter. And originally they're named after Saint Knut's Day, which is January the 7th. It's celebrated a week later now, so this was the old calendar, but originally January 7th, so one day after the Three Kings. And they changed the name to Joulupuki, which is the Scandinavian version. So Finns, they took the name that is more common in Sweden and Norway. They discarded Saint Knut and went on with the Yule goat, because that's what this means. Joulupuki is the Yule goat. So nowadays, he's an older man with a red robe, probably a bathrobe, as you can see in the picture. So imagine he was in his sauna, and then he remembered that he had to give out presents that day, so he just threw over.
Just grabs a twig on the way.
Yeah, I mean, they really don't care. Like, Finns are very cold resistant, so it's not that they like the cold, or that they in general just get out of the sauna and walk around naked, but they don't have a problem with being barefoot in the snow. So
Right. Yeah. So it's just another day to them.
yeah, another Tuesday. He has a walking stick because he's an elderly man. He sometimes comes with a reindeer sleigh, but not always. And in Lapland, so northern Finland, where the actual reindeer herders live, he has a pulki. And I'll show you what a pulki is. That is a pulki.
Ah.
Like this Arctic explorer gear, the sled pulled by Arctic explorers.
Yeah. Cool.
Which means that Joulupuki is his own donkey or horse or reindeer. He doesn't need them. He does that by himself.
Yeah, it's no problem.
And he does one thing that the others don't do. He begs for leftover Christmas food when he comes. So he doesn't want you to leave out milk and cookies for him, but he will ask you for leftovers from your Christmas dinner. So as you can see, Finns believe in that goat spirit from the neighboring Germanic areas, but they also have this this goat type spirit thing that is not Joulupukki. They just believe that it is a horrifying and ugly spirit being. So there is the Joulupukki, which is the modern version and is more for children, and they also still have the invisible goat spirit that monitors Christmas celebrations. They also believe in that. And he also has a specific place where he's from, and that is here. It is called Korvatunturi Mountain in northern Finland. So you can see that where you can read Lapland, below that is Korvatunturi Mountain. That is one of the areas furthest north in Finland. And he gets a lot of letters. So he has his own post office because each year 500,000 letters come in for Joulupukki from all countries of the planet because Finland doesn't have that many children.
Wow.
Yes, and we'll talk about addresses tomorrow, and where you can write. So in many cases, you can address your letters to Santa. So even in Austria, for example, you would write to Santa, because that is more international. They don't require you to write to the Austrian or Finnish or Russian version, so you can just call him Santa because it's just going to the post office, and then the elves are carrying it to his place.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So don't worry if you don't know his address, but we will teach you a bit about it tomorrow.
We will give you the full list, and I think we should give them a link to it so we can put this up for Christmas and leave it in each video so they can have a look. I mean, it's a bit late now, to be honest.
Yeah, if you haven't already written to Santa, like,
But next year.
yeah,
So
next year.
let me quickly show you the difference between Nuuttipuki and Joulupukki, because Nuuttipuki is a bit more heathen. So there you can see them.
Oh, yes.
Traditional depiction and modern depiction. And we have some more. Let me see. This is definitely Christmas horror. So you're getting a little taste of that this week.
Ooh, little tease.
Yes, let me see. Yeah, this is from 1926. So they actually had these celebrations still in Finland. This is a photo from 1926. And that is the old-fashioned type. And nowadays you would have this one, or the cartoon one that I showed you. So this one looks very much like Father Christmas. You see here, he also has this wassailing bull.
Yeah.
Last one are the Jultomtes, and the Jultomtes are Yule dwarfs. So you can see that they kind of look like garden gnomes.
Mm.
And this is a Swedish and also Norwegian Christmas tradition. Aside from the Yule goat, they also have these Yule dwarfs. So that is the source of the elves in the United States Santa's workshop.
All right.
That is specifically Scandinavian. They're associated with the goat. You can see that they have this little wood sled that they would usually use to bring in more logs for the oven. And Tomte that means dwarf or pixie or elf in that case. So little people with these red caps. There is another one that is called Nisse. So they're usually household spirits. You know that in Europe you have different traditions of the little people helping in households. And we'll see more of that tomorrow because I've included it. They love porridge and they usually bring you clothes. So that's going a bit deeper into the Scandinavian tradition. They're usually a friendly small spirit living in your house, and they make sure that your household runs well. So they're not only responsible for Christmas, they're also responsible for what you're doing throughout the year. And they look very much like garden gnomes. Now,
cool.
one last thing for comparison.
Hmm.
We'll have United States Santa on the day after tomorrow. That is the one on the right. The one on the left is more like the European version, that is the bishop's version.
Yeah.
Just so you know the difference. And that is it about Not Santa.
So we have a special little segment here. Ligea, what's this? What's going on here?
This is Stephen He, hands down one of my favorite comedians, YouTube personality. And he's giving us a very special Not Santa. So this is Asian Santa, and the video is called What If Santa Was Asian? He's a replacement for Saint Nicholas because Saint Nicholas has an appointment.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, let's watch a bit of this, as much as we're legally allowed to.
Santa? Ah! Why you scare me like that? I'm having trouble because of your fake chimney. Why you don't get a real chimney? I know a guy, I hook you. Wait, how did you get in? Did you use magic? I'm an engineer during the weekday. Oh, thank you. You didn't have to make me cookies. Are you sure you're Santa? You look different from last year. I Asian Santa. Nick has a doctor's appointment today, so I filling in for his job. Guy works only 1 day a year. I don't know why he put his... It's not even nighttime yet. I Asian. I come to work early. Wait, does that mean Rudolph is outside? I drove my Tesla. I thought kids in Asia didn't believe in Santa. That's because they make the toys. Okay, let's see how you've been this year. Oh, is that the naughty and nice lesson? This? No, it's a costume pop. We use iPad now, much more streamlined workflow, high efficiency. Corporate wanted to improve production, so... here you are, Stephen. Why you on the failure list? What you do? You on Forbes 30 under 30. Why not 10 under 10? Timmy got 1 under 1. He was born, made his first $1 million on his way home from the hospital. Okay, let's see. Where's your letter there? Here we go. Steven, yes. Dear Santa, I won a PS4 wrong, with Spider-Man 2 wrong, and a Nintendo Switch wrong. Thank you very much. Correct. Okay, look, I'm gonna have to give you a B-, okay? This is practically the unemployed starter pack. You watch YouTube once, now you think you're Pokemon. Okay, here you go. My gift is an accounting book. Your gift is a good job, but I also want a gaming laptop. What the hell you say? Because it's... I'm interested in computer engineering. Oh, you scared me. I almost called the Beijing embassy. Good. That's a good choice. Computer engineer make a lot of money. Nice, here you go. Awesome. Also, I have for you a bag of rice, a Coupon subscription, and a Starbucks apron, so you can apply for a job to buy fun stuff, to invest in an index fund which tracks the overall movement of the market. Now remember, time in the market better than timing the market, okay? Dollar cost averaging, a good place to start. Also, don't forget to open a Roth IRA account where your contributions can grow tax-free. What's retirement? Oh, a retirement? Oh, that's after you work 40 years in a job you hate, so you save enough money to do things you love, like, I don't know, painting, like music or theater. I know, I'll skip all that and become an actor today. What the hell you say? Hello, Beijing embassy. This kid aspires to be homeless. If I want to see another unemployed actor, I subscribe to my own channel. But Ke Huy Quan just won an Oscar, so I don't know, maybe I can do it too. He has talent, you have dandruff. Now remember, give up your dreams, study hard, go be an engineer. And you can thank me later, okay? Okay, I see you next year. Okay, see you. Just kidding, I'm a YouTuber. Subscribe and happy holidays. We'll see you next year.
Oh, it's not done.
Oh, he has bloopers.
The bloopers.
Nick only works 1 day a year. Lazy bastard. Emotional damage, link in the description. I'm done.
Oh my god. That's great. That's super funny.
Yes, and he's absolutely right about Asian parents. I know Asian parents, they're really like that. You want to become an actor or a YouTuber or something like that, you're going to be homeless.
Yeah, he's just like a disappointment to everybody.
Yes, have you seen the t-shirt? It says failure management.
Yeah.
So that is usually Steven's dad. So he plays his own dad, and with that accent too. So Steven wants to do normal things for normal kids nowadays. And then his dad keeps saying, you're an absolute failure, and that is why I got this t-shirt, failure management.
Oh,
That is his
great.
merch.
That's wonderful. That's so funny.
And he has a couple million subscribers, so he's big.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good to see. Good to see. Well, I certainly hope we've all learned quite a few things about not Santa. Day 17.
Thank you so much to my YouTube members and Patreon members for all the love and support. It's thanks to people like you that we can keep growing.